This is the remastered first interrogation of Florida State University Associate Professor Dr. Jeffrey Lacasse. He's an associate professor at the FSU College of Social Work. His research areas of interest include mental health and psychiatric medications. Of course, Professor Lacasse was not involved in the murder of Florida State University professor Dan Markel. However, when he was first brought into the police station for an interview, he was a suspect, all thanks to his girlfriend, Wendi Adelson, who had sort of broken up with him a few days before the murder. Many think that Wendy and her family set up Professor Lacasse as a patsy, or at least as a possible suspect, someone to distract the attention of the police from the real killers. Luckily for him, Professor Lacasse had departed Tallahassee a day before he had told Wendy that he would depart. The murder happened just about the time that Professor Lacasse was supposed to leave town. So if these interviews started as interrogations, they quickly progressed to interviews because Professor Lacasse was a wealth of information to the detectives and also in many ways helped solve the murder. As you will see, his theories about the murder turned out to be mostly accurate. Here we go.
They had a appointment here. Okay.
Where do you want me to sit, man?
You could just sit right here, and I'll sit right here with you.
Made a couple notes.
Okay. Do you have a credit card?
I do.
The one that you sent me the email?
Right here.
On? Can I just make a copy of that?
Can.
I'm not going to charge anything to you.
That's fine. That's fine.
I just got to show.
You can't trust the police to hold on your credit card.
Well, here's the thing. Your account doesn't necessarily show that you are the account holder. There's nothing in that
Gotcha.
correspondence.
Gotcha.
So I'm just going to make a copy of this. And really what this is doing is just working to exclude you as a suspect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can also, you've pretty much done that.
Well, I thought so. I'm sure my cell phone records would show that too.
Well, I kind of showed this to my boss, and they're like, well, let's just go ahead and verify that he has this account number.
Sure, gotcha.
And you weren't locking on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory stuff, I know.
Gotcha. Well, no, you guys got to be careful.
Yeah, we got to check everything out. So I'll be right back. I'll make a copy of this, and then I'll come right back. I was locked in here for a second. Okay.
Okay. I just thought of a few things that might be useful to you.
Okay. Yeah. So, got a million things going on here.
Sure you do.
And now, is this just kind of like theory kind of stuff, or is it just kind of you had some time to think about what I talked to you about?
Actually, what it's been is I had a 14-day break while she was in South Florida. Then last 7 days, I haven't heard from her yet. So we're at day 22, 23. No longer under the spell. I'm starting to see a few things a little more clearly.
Okay.
It's been a month since we were intimate, a month since she kind of controlled me that way. So it's I'm starting to clear up a little bit, man. I'm not under the spell. So there's just some things I think you should know. I'll try to go quick. I know you're busy.
Okay.
But
I appreciate you.
First, there was two quick things. You probably already have these, but there's a professor in the department that's totally obsessed with her. You probably already got that.
Who was that?
He's got really bad teeth. I don't know his name. He called her goddess, and he would send her inappropriate texts. I can't imagine that Wendy wouldn't have mentioned that, but just to make sure you had it. He's an older guy, probably in his 60s. I don't know his name, but he called her goddess. And he's no fan of Markel.
I think I know who you're talking about. I haven't talked to him specifically, but
Yeah, seems unlikely, but I figured you want everything.
Yeah.
And there was this was one that I thought of. There was a student in the fall that was really inappropriate with her. She forwarded a couple of emails to me, and he actually kissed her on the mouth during a teacher-student meeting in her office. That was kind of weird. So I don't know his name or anything else, but there was the student that, if you're looking for obsession, that was strange for a student to lean in and kiss a professor on the mouth, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, Wendy would know the name. She forwarded the email. She was disturbed. But I don't, you know. If you really needed it, I have that email somewhere. Might have been a cocky student trying to pick up his hot prof. I don't know, you know, but
if you can find it, just you got my email address.
Yeah, would you like to see that one? Okay, I'll
Sure,
see
yeah.
I think his address is on it.
Yeah, we haven't excluded anyone really at this point.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, a couple other things. I've been seeing a therapist since about, I don't have any major mental health problems, but just to try to deal with Wendy, I was seeing my therapist I used to see when I was going through my divorce. So I was thinking about what we talked about in there. I mean, I've spent like $2,000 on therapy trying to figure out how to deal with Wendy. She's been really hard to handle. And I realized I never put it together, but he for months has been concerned that she's a sociopath. And I didn't tell you guys that before. I still love Wendy. I was under her spell. She'd call me tomorrow if I go back to her. But there's a lot of stuff that, as I look back, is really strange. To give you a couple examples. Well, I guess one of the things I worry about is Wendy has this public persona. And she's a very good actress. She's very charismatic and all this kind of stuff. And she knows a lot of people. You know, everybody in Tallahassee knows Wendy. You probably discovered that already. I mean, she's in every social circle. You know, she's very social butterfly-esque and out there and stuff. But in terms of people that know her intimately, have spent like a lot of time with her and seen behind the curtain, you know, I think it's Markel, me, and maybe that Sack guy the last 12, 13 years. I mean, she doesn't, you know what I mean? So some of the stuff I had seen was pretty crazy stuff. I mean, no sense of guilt, no empathy, hypersensitivity to criticism. When I said, hey, you cheated, I mean, that's fucked up. She would not apologize. She would not say she felt bad. She would not say she made a mistake. She's a total pathological liar, and I feel bad saying all this because I still love her. She has these flaws, and I would have stayed with her. But if you look back at Markel's legal documents, he's constantly talking about her systematic pattern of deception, how she lies all the time. And she told me once, I have a really hard time telling the truth when it's inconvenient or unpleasant. I lie all the time. I mean, she said that to me. So I never would have thought that Wendy was, I know she didn't pull the trigger or anything like that. But the more I thought about it, how much I was manipulated, how much of a spell I was under, and all that kind of stuff, I feel kind of creeped out right now that not, I don't know if she's a suspect or not. The paper says she isn't. But as an accessory, it makes a lot of sense to me at a certain point. So, and I don't know that many people that know her that well. Mm-hmm. When you see behind the curtain, she's a total train wreck. My psychologist was saying, man, she just meets the checklist of a narcissistic sociopath. Go down the list. So obviously she's already a person of interest and all that kind of stuff, but I thought you should know that I'm a mental health myself.
Right.
So I never saw that when I was under the spell, but I've had people trying to convince me for 3 or 4 months you're dating someone who has real severe sociopathic tendencies.
Right.
So high functioning and attractive, but still, you know, that.
Yeah.
So that's something I just thought I should tell you.
Sure.
And just a couple clarifications from last time, things that struck me as odd as I reflected back on it. It was really disturbing to me that she told you guys that she thought I stalked her as I thought about it. Really bothered me because we had arguments about this. We had
who told you that?
The other investigator.
Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't interview her, so I don't know what their conversation.
Well, she's also said this. I mean, it's one thing to say, you cheated on me, you invaded my privacy in an argument. That happens. Right. Okay. It's another thing to go to the police when there's an open homicide investigation and tell the investigators, when I'm a person of interest, that she knows I didn't stalk her. She knows exactly what happened.
So what do you think that is?
Well, I just noticed that Markel, everybody's told me what a nice guy Markel is, and I thought he was sated, because in our household, I mean, he's a psychopathic, stalking, emotionally abusive, controlling jerk. That's how Wendy thinks of it. Now I know.
And that's her assessment of him.
Yes.
Do you have the same assessment of him?
I did when I was with her because I didn't know. I just believed her.
Right.
You know, but no one else has. What I hear from everybody else is he's an arrogant dick. As far as a academic, there's a lot of professors that are arrogant. You know.
Sure.
But he's a good man. That's what I hear people saying. He was a good father. He was a good man, and he was really upset with Wendy. Starting to understand why, maybe. I mean, because all of a sudden I'm a stalker, and this is just fascinating to me. I mean, I was married for 3 years, never raised my voice to my wife. You saw I have no record, no DV, and this is not me. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's it seemed kind of. Again,
why do you think she would allege that? And again, I didn't interview her, so I don't know.
I don't know. I know I'm not under any, I didn't commit a crime or anything. It wasn't like that, but I think it. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't think she's trying to frame me or anything like that. I mean, when I thought about it, I don't even have a motive here. If Danny's gone, she's gone. It makes no sense. You know what I mean? I mean, the only thing, this wasn't, that's another thing I would say is, I don't know if you've heard this from other people, but I read all the legal documents. I was helping her draft emails. We're working together and all this stuff. And Danny was about to get his ass handed to him in court in the fall. I mean, the whole legal community knew that. It's like he's out on a limb. And he had a new girlfriend, Amy Adler. He spent a lot of time with her. He actually backed off when he used to harass her with emails a lot. And that's what the timing of this was a little strange. Because as far as Danny, her life had never been better than the last 2-3 months. He had really backed off. So this is all about if there's a motive, relocation. I mean, it doesn't have to do with him. He would file spurious legal complaints and stuff like that. But he kind of stopped that, actually. It was, but I mean, that's not, it just, again, that sounded sociopathic to me, like deflection, you know? I mean, it seemed unnecessary. So a couple other things. There's some timing things here. I hope this is all wrong and you find some disgruntled student that shot and might have wanted Wendy and her kids to have a good life in South Florida. You know, I still love them. I still care about them. I miss them. I'm pretty heartbroken over all this. But if you want information, I had some things to say. So we have this big fight in Gainesville. And I really confronted her. I'm really hard on her. I'm pissed because I feel like I've been conned because she's been calling me her boyfriend and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know exactly what the relationship was with Zach, but I found out enough that it was very clear that she was busted, that she was juggling 2 guys in some form or fashion. I don't know the details.
Yeah.
I got the impression I was boyfriend number 2 is why I was pissed. I mean, there's no picture on the Facebook page. I noticed there wasn't even a picture of me in her house. And that's when I got really, really upset. I was like, come on, we've been dating 9 months. This is bizarre, you know? So I had it out with her in Gainesville. And then she went to South Florida for 14 days. The whole time she's down there, she's miserable and not that available. But we're talking about future-oriented stuff. We're talking about trying to get back together and desperate to see each other. It sucks that we're separated in this bad situation. I can show you the text, like, can't imagine my life without you. God, I fucking miss you. I mean, these are like exact quotes, you know. She gets back to town. We go on a date. And I said it was awkward, but if we were holding each other, we're holding hands. There was a future orientation still. We're going to spend a lot of time together and work this out. That's what we had decided to do. That was last Monday. It gets really strange from there, and it makes me suspicious. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But then on Tuesday, she called me at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. She said, I walked out of my house. We were going to see each other that night. And I say, okay, I walked out of your house. What are you going to do? I tried to get a key, but I probably need a locksmith. I said, oh, well, I'll come out and we'll just hang out on your front porch and have our date there. She's like super sweet and friendly. And it was like everything was okay, actually. She was like, I would love it if you would come keep me company, see you in a little bit, call each other baby, and this kind of stuff. When I showed up to yoga, and ended up that she got into our house, we went to yoga together instead, and we just met there. When I showed up to yoga at 7, something was completely different. She was gone. I mean, and that might have been just her talking to her friend and says dump him and she decides it and that's it. It may have nothing to do with your case. But I would be really curious to know if I was you, who she talked to between 3 and 7, because something happened where I seem to be irrelevant all of a sudden. And this is after 15, 16 days of her wanting us to, let's just work this out. It just turned in a second. And then it gets a little stranger from there, actually.
And this was Tuesday preceding the 18th.
Exactly. Anyway, so
At what point did she send you the email?
That was that night. That was that Tuesday night. That was Tuesday night, which I suspect was already in her head. Because
well, that may have been, she maybe came to a finalization that she was going to do that.
She may have. I mean, I don't want to make this all about me. There's bigger things here. But I did notice some things. I mean, so she's done with me, right? Okay. Looking at her, it's not right. Something's wrong here. I walk out to the car, and it's really awkward. Small talk, you know. I can tell she thinks she's done. But she asked me if I was going to be here this weekend. Now, she's done. Why does she give a shit if I'm here Friday? She asked me directly, are you going to be here Friday? And I said, maybe it's up in the air. And it wasn't up in the air. I just didn't want to seem desperate, and I was just going to stay here and not take my trip. If Wendy was willing to see me is what that was about. But she was really interested. Oh, why is it up in the air? Oh, because, you know, at his end, there's a thing. Oh, okay, well, okay, talk to you
And
later.
this was prior to her sending you the email.
Prior to sending me the email. And the last thing I ever heard from Wendy, last words I exchanged with Wendy were, are you going to be here Friday? I just thought you should know that. It may mean nothing, but it was kind of strange to me. Then the no contact order was also kind of strange to me. Usually you would just send someone an email and say, hey, I need some time to think. She was very strict about that no contact thing. It was almost like she didn't want to be in front of me. You know, I just busted her for
Well, she probably didn't want you to try and talk her out of it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's my thinking.
Maybe. Maybe she knew something was going to go down and didn't want me in front of her because I read her pretty well. And I just busted her on a whole host of lies, you know.
Okay.
This might sound crazy speculative. I just wanted to give you the information. So that struck me as kind of strange. Oh, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. This was just weird. This is just stuff. Have you seen this picture? Probably seen it in media accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at that picture, my friends that I don't have kids. My friends that have kids up and said, look how narcissistic that picture is. Who looks good in that picture? Not Wendy's kids. Wendy. This comes out Thursday night. She changes this.
Mm-hmm. This is the one that you said she was taunting you with, or
well, maybe.
Or you thought she was.
What the other speculation in the community, which is not for me, is like Wendy looks good, but this is a Photoshop picture. Her dad does photography stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. So she looks way better than normal in this picture. If you knew you were going to be all over the media, that's how Wendy would want to look. So that may sound crazy to you, but just something to think about. I mean, when you want to picture your kids look good. There's other pictures in this photo set where the kids looking at the camera and are smiling and look great.
Right.
So it's just weird. And I'm not trying to do your job for you to be like a profiler, but it was a thing.
Right.
And that one of the last things would be, it still is, I don't want to be the disgruntled ex-boyfriend, but it's really strange to me that she's never contacted me. It's very strange. We were co-parenting for 6 months. We've talked about Danny for hundreds of hours. No one knows that case better than, as far as her friends, than me. It's really, really odd. I mean, your ex-wife and you are strange. You're fighting. You're separated. Her dad gets hit by a car. You pick up the phone and call, usually, you know? So there's a rigidity to this no contact thing. It strikes me as very, very odd. She is, I know you said, hey, I wouldn't take that personally. I'm not taking it personally. We're done. I get it, you know. But what I am taking it as is, it almost looks guilty. It looks really strange. Why wouldn't you call for these kids to bed for the last 6 months? I mean, right on in a minivan with them. Care about these kids. She knows that. Even if we're over, not a text message, not a phone call. It looks strange to me. So.
Right. And even more so in lieu of recent events.
Well, that's what I mean, is that when that happened, I didn't expect to hear from her that day. You guys had her, you know, into the night. I know all that kind of stuff. But I still haven't heard anything.
Mm-hmm.
That just is very, very strange. Maybe she's just a cold-blooded, damaged, needy woman that decided she was done with me, maybe. But if there's any interest in her at all, there's a lot of sociopathic stuff here, seems like. Mm-hmm. The ease with which she lies is really disturbing. Mm-hmm. So that's all I had to say. I just thought you'd want to know that.
Okay. Yeah, well, I got you here. I did want to run down on some of your, I printed out your stuff that you sent me here. Let me just look through it from behind it. Okay. And this actually is a little bit better to kind of have something tangible to look at to kind of see where you are and where you were going and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They're a little out of order because of when they cleared, but yeah.
okay, so this day's in was actually, even though it says the 18th, I talked to the clerk and she said you were there on the 17th.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Thursday night, which is what you said.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so this is mainly done for exclusionary
I kind of
purposes.
I'm not worried.
So I got you here. And then when did this transaction occur? Like it doesn't have a time. Can you give me kind of more of a specific time?
Thomasville?
Yes.
That would have been on the way there, so 10 o'clock.
PM.
Yeah.
And do you remember what time you got into the Days Inn?
Before midnight. What's like about it? I left here around 8. I wasn't going to drive past midnight. It might have been 12:15 or something, but I went from here to South and landed, average of 75 or something like that.
And then $37 in gas on Friday.
And where's that at?
At Ayersville, Georgia.
Yeah, that would have been somewhere between Atlanta and Tennessee.
And this was actually on Friday.
It was.
Okay, so even though this one says transaction date, it was close enough to the 18th that it may not have went through until after midnight.
You know what? It might have been 12:05 when he pulled the trigger on it.
Okay. Well, you just said anywhere between 12 and 12:15 you got there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you got out of here about 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was about almost exactly 9.
And then what time did you stop to get gas here on Friday?
I couldn't tell you. I can tell you what time I had that flat tire because I texted my friend as soon as I got it.
Okay.
And that's what Miller's.
And that was Miller's Brothers Dairy?
Yeah, is that a weird name for it? Yeah, that's Miller. Go. 12:26 p.m. is when my tire blew. And that was
on the 18th.
Yeah, and that would have been on the 75, probably 10 miles from Athens, Georgia. When they exit, forgot the.
Okay. And then your McDonald's was that?
I think I got gas.
Georgia too.
Yeah.
And this was on the 18th also.
Yeah, that's the same stop that I did gas.
That's where you said you went.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you giving me this. It kind of helps give you a timeline.
Yeah, no problem.
Exclude you for anything.
I understand.
I think some of the reason they were looking at you is because some of the comments that she made about you in the previous interview
that I hate Danny and stuff like that.
Well, or that you were a stalker.
Yeah, see,
stuff like that.
That's why I am a little concerned about her, and I never thought I would get here. A month ago, I wouldn't have said any of this. But since that fight and I found out this web of deceit that she had set up, I just don't know what she's capable of. It's really, really strange. That's what I was worried about. She also asked if I was going to be here. Isn't that a little weird? Could just be conversation, but that's the last thing she ever said.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what's going to happen, it's no big thing. But at hindsight, looking back at it, it does seem peculiar.
Because she's done with me at that point.
Right.
So.
I mean, it could have been as innocent as idle conversation. Who knows?
Hey, God, I hope.
I mean, we're going down every rabbit hole here, and we're still in the preliminary stages of this whole.
Was Daniel Sack referred to as her boyfriend in that interview? Was that?
I didn't interview, so I don't know. I know he was mentioned because I talked to Craig, the guy you met.
Yeah.
And he said that if you were that we were kind of just roundtabling it. It was like if you were going to be mad at anybody, it may have been this guy.
Yeah. No, I was.
The Daniel guy.
That's why I left the coffee shop.
Well, Daniel Sack, not.
Yeah. Well, actually, I should have been mad with my Daniel Sack was seeing several women. Wendy was one of his. partners or whatever. He knew about me. I didn't know about him.
Right.
So he didn't know anything really. I mean, he was just playing the field.
Yeah.
But that's where the sociopathic thoughts come from. This is not a woman that like cheats on you. This is a woman, I think, who has 2 boyfriends and is juggling that. And like, I'm at home with the kids every night while she's off screwing him during the day. She's letting me mop her kitchen floors for her. I mean, this woman had me doing things you wouldn't believe. I mean, I can honestly say, like you get sick, your girlfriend brings you chicken soup. That woman never did a thing for me. And I was basically her personal assistant for 6 months. So when you start thinking about a scenario where someone gets compelled to do something or convinced or help her out or something, just as a thought experiment, I would have stopped in front of a truck for this woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mature 42-year-old guy who's dated a lot of women. I just got caught into the spell. So that combined with just I think that's kind of unusual when you have 2 boyfriends. I think that takes a certain lack of conscience. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how easily she did that. Mm-hmm. Just makes me wonder. I really hope she's not involved at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she is, but I mean, time will tell.
I don't think she'd be directly involved, but as an accessory at this point, I gotta tell you, that's in my head. So I just wanted you to know that. I don't know. You know a lot more data than I do.
Sure, yeah. Well, if you don't have anything else,
nope, that's it.
I appreciate you coming in. Sure. And if you want to go ahead and send me that email, if you still got it.
Yeah, I'll find that email.
And then, like I said, you got my email, you got my phone number. Anything else arises, let me know. If you do have subsequent contact with her, and you guys have a conversation that you think is of note,
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I think we're probably done. You need anything from me, let me know. But that's all I had.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Gator.
All right, I'll walk you out.
Okay.